Lovers of the beautiful game, welcome back to Rosa TV and welcome back to another match reaction. Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 1. And before I start, I want to pat myself on the back. I did predict in the previous video, which was a preview about 30 or 20 minutes before the game. And again, before I get into this video, I just want to apologize for the quality or the lack thereof of the sound in the previous video. Something went wrong in terms of our production there, and we do apologize, and we'll make sure that we try and avoid that kind of mistake in the future. But really what happened in that video is that I tried to look at what Arsenal could have, done differently to sort out its unforeseen injuries that it had in the midfield. And of course, anyone who was watching the game could see that there was really an effect in terms of how we played, how we set up. We went back to our 4-2-3-1, which is the traditional Mikel Arteta way of setting up. And of course, I do not think that Mikel Arteta likes to set up in a 4-2-3-1. I think he was setting up in a 4-2-3-1 historically because that's the quality of player that we had. And I think when Partey started to come into the team, the 4-3-3 started to become obviously the shape that he preferred. And of course, in game situations, we managed that shape to 3-1-2, a range of shapes that were happening within the game. And so today, I think we went back to the sort of safe and secure 4-2-3-1. I think we had an absolutely horrible start. My goodness me, it was unwatchable. And this is what happens when you watch your own team. Of course, it becomes, you have an emotional attachment, but it was unwatchable because we weren't getting anything right. The patterns weren't there. We were trying to start the ball out from the back and not doing that well. There were too much distance between the defense and the attack, and therefore we weren't close enough to each other and not giving each other enough options. And I think, of course, not having Partey in the midfield and not having that option that Zinchenko was giving us, adding an extra man in the midfield, sort of created this lack of control, which was evident throughout the game. But I think, speaking about our midfield scenario and having a lack of control, I want to go on to Sambi Lokonga, who was sort of the person who deputized, our six today. And I think he didn't have a bad game at all. And normally what happens is that people like Lokonga, you can see Lokonga is naturally talented, is a technically gifted player, but then sometimes he wants to overprove that, show his ability on the ball, and then does the extra thing, and then he is remembered for the wrong reasons, and that is losing the ball or making a sloppy pass that causes us problems defensively. And today, and I was speaking to Yams, behind the scenes, and he was talking to me about how this boy today didn't do anything that was going to give him the limelight. In fact, the fact that we can say nothing about Lokonga in terms of what he did today, he was a silent killer. He did the basics right. He got the ball, he passed it well, and he didn't try to over elaborate in terms of his play. And I think that's the exact reason why I think he was a standout player. Paradoxically, he was a standout because he didn't do anything outstanding. And that's what you want from a player who's coming in, lacks a bit of confidence. He wasn't doing well last season, and two of our key players in that position have now gone out. He comes in as a young man and he fills those boots quite satisfactorily, given the fact that obviously the quality that goes before him is quite a bit to be compared to him. And then of course, moving from one player now who did very well, another young player. Today I thought we were lackadaisical in terms of creating our chances. We weren't clinical in terms of finishing the chances, because we did create chances, but our wing play was very delayed. Our wing play was poor. I think these boys made a couple of bad decisions. A couple is perhaps very gracious to them, because Saka. And now I think the Saka situation, we need to start to sit down and talk a little about this. The Saka situation now is not that today Saka was underwhelming. It's that Saka has been underwhelming for 5 consecutive games in an Arsenal t-shirt in 2022-2023. So we need to start making a decision. In fact, Arteta needs to start making a decision. I don't want to get on the boys' back because there could be a multitude of factors as to why Saka is not doing well. First is that for 2 seasons straight, we've relied on him to give us productivity in the final third, and he's young, and therefore to have all this weight on your shoulders of the club's performance might have been something that is sort of affected his ability on the pitch or his decision making. Because today, what was bad was not his ability to beat a player and do that quick turn that is known for, that is infamous for, but it was the final decision. Do you need to be able to pass that ball, cross that ball, or finish the ball? And today he tried to finish with his right foot, where we thought he could have probably given the ball, into Jesus, who was in a better position. So I think his decisions are also affected by that. And finally, the thing that hangs over his head, of course, that all of us can't avoid, is that Saka's got a contract situation looming over his head. And I think historically we've all seen that players do not perform to their ability when they've got contract situations that are uncertain hanging over their heads. So I think Arsenal need to sort the contract situation out as soon as possible to get this boy playing back to his best. And it won't hurt to drop Bukayo Saka a game or two, give him the rest that he needs, but also give him the kind of motivation that he needs to come back and be the man that we once knew, in an Arsenal t-shirt. And moving from one winger who did, underwhelmingly today in an Arsenal t-shirt in the past 5 games, going to another winger who was, was a bit of a, I think Martinelli is a bit of a, he's like a bittersweet, sort of drink that you want to consume, even though it is bittersweet in the sense that he creates space for himself. He's so industrious. He plays football in the way that football should be played. It's like watching a five-a-side in the streets of Kaili, where people are just playing full out football. But then when he needs to make those decisions that kill a move, he's as a stop-start. And I think today he made a couple of decisions where I thought he could have created easy chances, but he didn't create those chances, primarily because he made bad decisions in terms of finishing an action. And I think that's where perhaps he could improve with his ability. But he's young. It's going to come. I don't want to get on the boy's back. I want to say today he redeemed himself by scoring that chance, being in the right place at the right time. And of course, what can an Arsenal fan can be without talking about Gabriel Jesus? Gabriel Jesus today, as much as he scored a goal that seemed to be sloppy, but again, he was no stranger to working hard. He wasn't shying away from tough challenges, getting those balls. I mean, he's not a physically big guy, but he's so good in the air and so imposing. And so I think that's something, an element that Arsenal are really using to their advantage. I saw Odegaard do a little flick there, Sambi Lokonga do a little flick because they trust him. And he won all those balls in the box against Konsa and Mings, who are two imposing centre halves, for Aston Villa. So I think he did well today, and I think getting that goal, and as a striker, you want to take them no matter how they come. Michael Owen always says they all count. And moving on to another player who I think was a standout player for Arsenal today, my man of the match, and that player was Martin Odegaard, the captain. I think this captain's armband has been a catalyst for absolute extravagant change for this young man from Norway. He's been absolutely brilliant. Not only in the fact that he's creating a lot of these chances, but the fact that we don't see the output or the outcomes of these chances because people don't score as much as they should, doesn't take away the fact that he's creating clear-cut chances. And those are my views on the game, good people. I thought that Arsenal did well under difficult circumstances. Weren't they best, but we got the points. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and make sure that you engage with the content of this channel. I'll see you Sunday when we take on Manchester United. Come on, Arsenal!